Namaskar, everyone. Welcome to this 32nd lecture, online lecture of NET-Slate Mentoring Lecture Series organized by the Alumni Association and Department of English, Soras University in collaboration with uh, Career and Counseling and Development Center, Soras University. Today, in this 30-second lecture, we have expert with us, Mr. Chit Tilawat sir. Uh, if I may introduce sir, sir has been a wonderful alumnus of the English department. His poems are published in Visual Words and online anthology. He has cleared GSLAT in 2017 as well as in 2019. In 2017 GSET examination, he has secured 248 marks. He has also cleared NET in 2019. He has cleared GPSC written examination of 2018-19 and currently is preparing for the interview. He is pursuing his PhD on Booker and Nobel Prize Japanese British author Kazuo Ishiguro entitled his topic. The topic is titled as History, Fragmented Memory, Redefining Personal, National, and Cultural Identity in Select Works of Kazuo Ishiguro. So we heartily welcome you to this session. Uh, Sari is also presently serving in Duke Government College, Union Territory. Sari is going to speak on restoration age. Particularly, he is going to deal with comedy of manners. Thank you, sir, for spending a valuable time. Our session is all yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Bhavdeep Bhai. And it is glad that I'm introduced by the senior who has cleared the two GPSC that we all know, Bhavdeep Bhai Chowdam. Thank you very much. As no, I have prepared a PPT. The first time I have prepared the PPT, and now I'm using for the first time. So if you find anything difficult, then you should say it, Bhavdeep. Like
Sure, sir.
now the screen is visible, my PPT
Yes, sir,
is
it has come up.
okay.
Sir, is it
Great.
possible to rotate your screen so we can have the full view of the slide?
Okay. Yes, sure. Okay.
I think this is better.
Okay. Because in laptop there is some technical issue. That's why I'm using the mobile phone.
No issues, sir. We are able to read.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So as uh, Bhavdeep has said that I am dealing with the restoration comedy. So first of all, let us look at the background of restoration age. As we know, the period from 1660 to 1700 is named as the restoration period. In 1660, King Charles II was brought to the throne. The people of England were suffering from the tension due to the strict rule of Cromwell. Thus, the nation welcomed the restoration of Charles II, and this restoration brought about a revolutionary change in social life and literature. The following characteristic distinguished this period. And as we know, the literature is the mirror of life. So whatever has happened in the age, that is reflected in that era's literature. For example, right now the pandemic era is going on. So right now the literature is written, the most would be on the pandemic. Like that, in that age, whatever social political condition was there, that is reflected in the literature. religious and political quarrels that happened in the Restoration era. In the Restoration period, we see the rise of two political parties. They were the Whigs and the Tories. They were both against each other. The Whigs were opposing, the Tories were supporting the king. So it means the one is supporting the king and another one is opposing. The rise of these parties gave fresh importance to men of literary ability. The both parties supported them. The religious controversy was also going on. It was a very bitter. The Protestant and the Catholic were face to face. And as we know, there is a two part, the Catholic and Protestant in the Christian. They were against each other. And in this age, it was facing this religious tension. The nation was predominantly Protestant. The Catholic were being punished, and Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel reflect this religious and political conflict of the day. Now, the revolution, the Charles's brother James II ascended the throne in 1685. He tried to establish the Catholicism in the country. He became unpopular very soon. The entire nation rose against him. He lost his seat due to the bloodless revolution of 1688. And in the NET and GSET examination, this question is often asked that what happened in the 1688. So that is the bloodless revolution. The restoration, the controversies, and the revolution of 1688 deeply influenced the literature of the age. In this age, imitation of the French, the influence of France counted for much, as Charles II and his companions demanded that the poetry and drama should follow the French style. Now began the so-called a period of French influence. So this era particularly influenced by the French writers, and to name a few, a writer like Pascal, Racine, Boileau, and other French writers were imitated blindly. The French influence is seen in the Restoration comedy of manners of Dryden, Wycliffe, and the Congreve. This French influence is also responsible for the growth of opera, realism, and the formalism. The writers of the Restoration age reacted against the Romanticism of Elizabethan age. They developed realism to mark a degree. The early Restoration writers presented a realistic picture of a corrupt court and society. They emphasized vices rather than the virtues. They gave us a chorus, a low play without a moral significance. They saw only the external of a man, his body and the appetite. They did not see his soul and his ideals. The writers of the age followed formalism of style. They aim at achieving the directness and the simplicity of expression. So we can find the writers of this age particularly criticizing the appearance and the behavior of the upper class in this age. A restoration comedy, a background. A restoration comedy was written and performed from about 1660 to 1700, flourished in the period after the restoration of the Stuart monarchy. Some 500 plays survive, though only a handful of them are performed today, and few playwrights have achieved a lasting fame. Leading names include the William Wycherley, his famous work The Country Wife, 1675, George Atheg, The Man of Maud, 1676, Afra Ben, The Rower, 1677, John Weinberg, The Reliefs, 1696, and William Congreve, The Way of the World, 1700. Although scholars have identified this particular play as worthy of study, they were not necessarily the most popular choices among the audience at the turn of the 18th century. Wycherley, Atterley, and the Vanberg were aristocrats with a close link to the Stuart court, and were a man who saw writing plays as a gentleman's pastime. Congreve was an intellectual and a wing supporter, was writing celebrates the values of the powerful new elite that had forced the Stuart into the exile in 1688. The Comedy of Manners. The Comedy of Manners was the Restoration comedy's most popular subgenre, although they ultimately uphold the status quo. These plays are scrutinized and ridicule upper class society's manners and rules of behavior, providing an up to the minute commentary on the class, desire, and the marriage market. The tone is cynical and satirical, while the language and action are sexually explicit. Characters are driven by lust, greed, and revenge, and their goals are limited. Fraud, courtship, gulling, thandacolry, the intricate plots add much to the atmosphere of deceit and the moral confusion. A particularly appealing feature is the contrast between two pairs of lovers. The gay couple are witty and interdependent, with time to banter, and this their way to choosing a marriage partner. Through them, the complexity of commitment could be explored. Then Nalgun, mistress to Charles II, was the first actor to play one half of a gay couple, helping to establish the type as an enduring favorite. The second couple are the constant and unexciting. Their path to true love is thwarted by outside forces, usually in the shape of a blocking character, than Don Pedro in The Rover or the Lady Wishport in The Way of the World. Now, wit versus the humor. Restoration comedy kept all sections of its audience happy by blending wit with the law humor, such as the farce and burlesque. In the 17th century, wit meant more than the ability to make people laugh. Wit was governed by serious playfulness with words and ideas, where a language was used in an intellectually stimulating and surprising way. Such language was elegant, structured, and subtle. The style in which an original thought was expressed was worthy of attention as the idea itself. Playwrights would sacrifice a pace to allow time for a display of wit between rivals, aiming to cut each other down to the size, or more popular still, for the sparring, flirtatious wit between would-be lovers. The language of wit incorporated a full armory of linguistic devices, double entrance, pun, antithesis, paradox, aphorism, similitude, rally, repartee, QB, irony, epigram, and the conceit. The true wits were deeply respected for their skillful ability with these techniques. Now, the Country Wife. The Country Wife by William Wycherley was first performed in 1675. It depicts a honor, a man pretending to be important in order to have affairs with a married woman, unbeknownst to their husbands, and Margery, Pinchwife, a young innocent country wife who is inexperienced in the way of London. The Country Wife is based on the several plays by the French playwright Molière, but Wycherley wrote in the contemporary prose style, whereas Molière's plays were written in verse from 1753 and 1724. Here it is written 1924. It is this mistake. The Country Wife was considered too explicit for stage performance, but is now regarded as a classic work of the stage. The Man of Maud. The Man of Maud is also subtitled as The Sir Fopling Flutter by George Ethage. First appeared on the stage in 1676. It tells the story of a Dormant, a man about town who tries to woo Harriet, a young heiress. The only catch, Dorimont is already involved in a separate affairs with Mrs. Lovett and her friend Belinda. The Man of Maud was Ethage's a final play and is most popular in part because the audience believed the characters were based on the real public figure of the age. And when the name of this character Belinda came, we also remember Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock, where the character name Belinda is there. So, uh, in for example, in NET nowadays, this type of questions often appears like the name of the character is in which two works from the following. The four options were given, and from that, the two were correct answers. So, like that, question can be asked in the NET examinations. So, remember that the Belinda is character in the Man of Maud as well as the famous work by Alexander Pope, The Rape of the Lock. The Way of the World. The Way of the World by William Congreve was one of the later Restoration comedies. With its first performance in 1700, it tells the convoluted tale of Mirabell and Millamant and the attempt to secure Millamant's inheritance from her mean aunt, Lady Wishfort. They plan to deceive Lady Wishfort with the help of some friends and servants from the basis of the plot. So these three are the important characters from the Way of the World: Millamant, Mirabell, and the Lady Wishfort. Here, the NET and SLAT examination, the characters, then the theme, the subtitles, and what is the relation between the characters were often asked. Like that can be asked that the Milament's relation with Lady Wisport is what? So these are the characters and the relationship we need to remember it for the NET or SLAT purpose. Then the rover or the banished cavalier 1677 as well as 1681 is Afraben's the most famous play, written in two parts. It's based on the 1664 play Thomaso or The Wanderer, written by Thomas Killigrew. Its intricate plot centers on a group of English attending the colonels in Naples. The main character is the rake Wilmore, who falls in love with the convent-bound Helena. The prostitute Angelica Binaca complicates things when she falls in the love with the Wilmore. So it is one kind of the love triangle, and it increased the tension in the play. And this Afraben is the only leading female writers of that age, because at that time the female writers, we find very less female writers, but this Afra Ben earns his bread and butter by writing. So in NET and SLAT examination, the question of Afra Ben is also asked, as well as remember the subtitle, the rover or the banished cavaliers. Ben was the first professional female writer of the English stage who had turned to a professional writing for income after a career as a spy for King Charles II proved unprofitable. So this is also important that she worked for the king. She done the duty of spy, but when it was the unprofitable, she the turn toward the writing, and her writing included means her writing made her famous in the later on, and the work the rover it became the popular, especially when this all feminist movement and all this came out. At that time the uproar came. Otherwise at that time also she was, in a way, she was famous, we can consider. Now, critics comments on the restoration drama. Many critics condemn the restoration comedy as immoral, and often we heard when the restoration comedy is being discussed at that time, we see that often this word that the restoration comedy is immoral, it is licentious, it is not that much good. That kind of the comments we heard. In 1698, the Jeremy Collar wrote a short view of the immortality and the profaneness of the English stage. And this question is also being asked in the net and slate the many a times. Sometimes it is asked that the work short view of the immortality and the profaneness of the English stage written by whom? The answer is Jeremy Collar. Sometimes it is asked that Jeremy Collar's The Short View of the Immortality and the Profaneness of the English Stage is published in the which year? It is 1698. And sometimes the Jeremy Collar's a work that attacks the restorations periods, the English stage. That the at that time the work name is The Short View of the Immortality and the Profaneness of the English Stage. The book had an immense effect on the literary critics. Charles Lamb, in his essay on the artificial comedy of the last century, says that the Restoration comedies are a world of themselves almost as much as a fairyland. So the Charles Lamb's here is the Charles Lamb in his essay on the artificial comedy of the last century says that the restoration comedies are a world of themselves almost as much as a fairyland. So it is a huge comment by the Charles Lamb, the famous person. Lamb was anxious to reconcile his enjoyment of the play of Wycherley and the Congreve with the moral disapproval of his contemporaries. Macaulay attacked Charles Lamb and indicated that the unsound morality was always set off to every advantage, and a sound morality was insulted and derided in the restoration comedy of manners. Dobry pointed out that the restoration comedy is concerned with relations with rationalizing sexual relationship. Elsie Knight, however, says that in the matter of sexual relations, the restoration comedy is essentially dominating by a narrow set of conventions. Dr. Johnson's call the characters intellectual gladiators. So Dr. Samuel Johnson's calls the characters as intellectual gladiators. Now, let us turn toward the famous work of Restoration comedy writers. Studying the social pressure on the love and marriage with wit, subtly Congreve saw himself the master of Restoration comedy. His comedies are The Old Bachelor, Double Dealer, Love for Love, The Way of the World. Congress brilliance lies principally in depicting the cross current of marital complications. Before this, the PPT, we have seen only the few works of the every major writers, but here it is the list that these are his works, and from this the question of net and slate is often revolved around these plays of the famous comedy writer. So here we can find that the William Congreve's The Old Bachelor, The Double Dealer, A Love for Love, The Way of the World. The question can be asked from each of these works. These all are the popular work of William Congreve. In the same way, now it is George Ethegiston. George Ethegies' comedy is blessed the track upon which Congreve ventured. His major comedies are The Comical Revenge or Love in a Tub. His major comedies are The Comical Revenge. It is subtitled as A Love in a Tub. So the subtitle is often being asked in the NET and SLET examinations. So the what is the subtitle of The Comical Revenge? That is Love in a Tub. And sometimes it is asked that what is the other name of the work of George Ithagi's Love in a Tub. So at that time, The Comical Revenge would be the right answer. Then the another work is She Would If She Could. So this is a very interesting title, and as often what the student, as well as when I was the student, we make this mistake that the name of the work will be linked with the other writers. When we remember, we forgot, and when we forgot, at that time we mix up the things. So please remember the name She Would If She Could. It is written by George. It is, and then his other famous work, The Main of Maud or Sir Fopling Flutter. It is also has the subtitle like The Comical Revenge or Love in a Tub. In the same way, The Man of Maud is having the subtitle Sir Fopling Flutter. The brilliance and the grace of Ithagi's dialogue conceal the weakness of his plot construction. These same features mark the comedies of Vaikali. Within the 5 years, he has produced 5 plays: Love in a Wood, The Gentleman Dancing Master, The Country Wife, and The Plain Dealer. He's 5 years, he has published 5 plays: Love in a Wood, The Gentleman Dancing Master, The Country Wife, and The Plain Dealer, of which the last two are termed as the manly and a gross expose of a human weakness. So here we can find that he termed as mainly and a gross exposure of a human weakness. So William Wycherley. Now the Vanberg. Vanberg was an architect, but as a dramatist, he was extremely popular. So he was also architect, and we know he is a famous dramatist, famous playwright, but he was also an architect. That can be asked in the NET and SLET, like the biographical detail. So that is a very rare information. We often miss this kind of information that he was also an architect apart from being a dramatist. His famous comedies are The Reliefs, The Provoked Wife, The Confederacy, etc. So his famous works, the Weinbergs, he was an architect as well as the popular dramatist. His famous work, The Reliefs, The Provoked Wife, The Confederacy. Now, the Sadwell. Sadwell came from a good family and was an out and out wing. He was a prolific author. His best known plays are The Shulen Lovers, Absent Wells, Boniface, etc. So, Sadwell's famous works were The Shulen Lovers, The Absent Wells, Boniface, etc. Now, George Farquhars comedies. Here, this is the playwright. It is often being missed, and the most of the time it is sidelined. When we prepare, what we do, we most of the time pick up the famous writers, but in that we include only few, and there are some writers who are left behind. And this is the one of the writer who is often being left out when we prepare, but it is also a very important figure, and the questions are asked in the NET and SLET examination from his works, because the paper setters are the teachers and the thinkers, and they often find out that what the student would left out. So anyway, let us move. towards the George Farquhars. His comedies include Love and a Bottle. His the first famous comedy is Love and a Bottle. Then the second one is The Constant Couple. Then the second one is The Constant Couple. And the third, Buick's Strangium. So his the famous works are Love and a Bottle, The Constant Couple, The Buick's Strangium. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. This was the because I was given the timeline that please be strict to the time, and it is often the case that when we start exploring there is a net and sled, then we goes on and on and on, and I thought that it would be the enough, but it was rather the 50% of it.
No issues, sir, but it was very informative. There were lots of things. It was a kind of flood. It was even though for last 30 years, it was kind of flood of information.
Hmm.
Generally, we take time to process this entire information. Now, session is open for question answers. If anyone would like to question. So far, there are no questions. Uh, Sir, I think it will be good to just brief us about your journey of clearing these two SNET examinations and one NET examination, and give us some tips and tricks about it. There is one question that I would like to at the end.
Yeah, please.
Sir, there is one question. We'll take it right now only. Let's say there is a question. Can you please tell something about the French influence on these playwrights?
Yeah, that I have already in my PPT. I have said the writer's name like the parcel and the other boiler, these writers, and the major thing because the Charles II, who came from the French, it is the restoration of monarchy, and he came and he was the ruler, and with that he came with the influence, and he started performing means started treating the in the French way. So with that, the came the French influence, and these writers were influenced can be seen in the Restoration writers, and it was blindly imitated because at that time the French influence was there. Because Charles II came from the French, so the writers of this age were under the heavy influence of the French because see the ruler is came from the French. So he came with the French culture, and with the French culture, as we know, that the culture and literature that are mingled. So the heavy influence was there, and if someone is interested, they can write the research paper. It will be very brief, informative, and very helpful for the net and slate, as well as they will be able to get the more influence, more regarding this.
Fine, sir. Was there any other influence apart this French influence?
Particularly, what I have found, I have seen the French influence. It was the major at that time.
Okay. Uh, any other questions? If there is any, otherwise, sir would. Yes, sir. There is another question. Sir, in this, you touched the total restoration period and the major writers of the age and their works. Thank you. It was an observation. Now, I think, hello, sir. Apart from wit and satirical humor, which other elements were found in the comedy plays?
Hmm. The major was the satirical elements, as the Dryden and the other writers like William Congreve, what they have done, they have satirized the upper class. It means the aristocratic peoples, what are the loopholes, whatever they are missing, or what you can say, some kind of errors they are making. These writers were pinpointing it, that aristocratic people should behave in such a manner. It would be perfect to define that aristocratic people is ideal one. Whatever they are lacking, they are taking point of it and including in their place of comedy of manners. And as we have already discussed, that comedy of manner is what they are doing. They are satirizing the whatever the aristocratic peoples were making error of it. So suppose that the table manners, we generally know that we should use the table manners. If some aristocratic people have missed it, this kind of points, this writer will collect it and they will include it in their place in the satirical manner.
Hello, sir. Shall I add something?
Yeah, please.
Uh,
Start.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah,
even
please.
this element of repartee, I think you must have come
Yeah.
across.
Yes.
Repartee. Repartee is this witty verbal exchange of
Hmm.
dialogues,
Hmm.
uh, which I had read somewhere,
Hmm.
is a very important element of restoration comedy.
Yeah.
So that is what perhaps makes it more livelier
Hmm.
than, say, for example, restoration tragedy.
Hmm.
So since the person was asking which other elements were found in the
Hmm.
uh, restoration comedy plays, so this
Hmm.
is one element that comes to my mind, just to add
Hmm.
to what you were saying.
Hmm.
The,
Hmm.
the element of repartee,
Hmm.
that the characters on the stage would, like, this is there, for example, in Congre's Way of the World.
Hmm. Hmm.
Very, very quick and witty verbal
Hmm.
exchange of dialogues, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Sir. Sir, there is one more question from Janani. The person would like to know about female playwrights, if there is any, apart Afra Ben.
Okay, the major one is Afra Ben, and whatever means right now I could recollect. I have found this one. When I recollect, I have found only this writer, because he was earning his bread and butter from the writing itself. Because in that era, we find totally the male writers were dominating. This is the only female writer. Afra Ben is there.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Uh, Let us wait for a few more seconds. If there is any question popping up, we'll take it. Otherwise, I would request you to share your experience, your journey of passing these two GSLH and one NET examination.
Okay, Bhavdi.
If anyone would like to unmute themselves and want to ask, you are welcome. So, Pastor, should we continue with?
Yes,
Uh,
yes, please. We would be very happy to listen to his experience of having cleared GSET twice and appeared for GPSC, having cleared GPSC written examination. So he is one alumnus from our
also, he has
department
cleared
who
NET.
has, yes, yes, who has a rich and consistent experience of these competitive examinations. So we'll be very happy if you could share your experience with these MCQ pattern, sir, please.
Okay, thank you, Parth sir. First of all, what I would start by saying that the seniors are the most helpful person in the department. As when I have started preparing for the NET and SLAT examinations, particularly after my MA, at that time, the seniors like Bhavdeep sir is there, Komal Raichura ma'am, Sabir Parmar sir, Kalpesh Parmar sir, and Krishna Dangar ma'am, and the many other alumni who in one way or other helped clearing my doubts. Whenever I had any questions, at any time I have put up a message or a call that what is this writer's last work? I could not find it from this history book. They are able to help it. And the most crucial things are the help. Otherwise, we know the history books were there. We can read it. But when you are missing something, there is someone who could help you. And the seniors has helped me in such a way. Now, apart from that, the I was the person who continuously I was reading the history books. So many history books I have read, like David Deutsch's, then there is Andrew Saunders, and Indian writing in English, and criticism, Habib, then Peter Berry, and I was the person who were not making the notes. Otherwise, we often heard people saying that prepare a note. But what I would do instead, like in the writing, I am pretty in one say, we can say that I am the slower person who writes. In writing, I am very slow. So what I had done that in the history book, whatever I found, I have highlighted the point, and then I have started remembering and little notes, but what we can say that in the page, simple page, critical information I have noted down, and whenever I have gone outside, I got time, I had revised. Then the specially after preparing, for example, you have prepared the Chaucerian age. After reading the history book, what you need to do is solve the MCQs. Online MCQ you will find. If you search on the Googles that MCQ test of Chaucerian age, you will find plenty of material is there. Then solve that MCQ. First of all, give a test like what we do in the NET examination. We give the test in such a way, prepare a questions answer and see which answer are right. Whatever answer are right, read it, and whatever are wrong, consider it and revise it. In this way, I have done and prepared my journey. And especially in the 2017, that is the most crucial year for me, because at that time I had cleared this exam with the 248 marks out of 350, and this was the last GSET examination that taken place, which had the three papers and 350 marks. Otherwise, we know the GSET exam is of 300 marks, the second paper 200 marks, first paper 100 marks. But at that time, whatever previously I have prepared in this way, that helped me. So those who are preparing for NET and SLAT, do this. First of all, read from the history book, and after finishing that edge, highlight the important writers and their works and subtitle, and then give the MCQ test. That will sharpen your mind, because right now the exam is in the MCQ mode, the objective mode. So what you need to do is remember the MCQ, analyze it in the critical way. If you are able to analyze this one, then it will be helpful. And the background that shaped my critical ability was I was a student of criticism. So as we know that Mukherjee sir is the master of criticism and poetry. So indirectly, I have learned that element because sir made us work very hard for our assignment and seminar, and even sometime for the lecture, we need to come up with a pre-reading. So as here, the Pratiksha ma'am is there. We were the classmate and we faced the same situation. and those who had the criticism, they know it. So that also background helped. So in such a way that we are able to clear this examination. And regarding the consistency, what I like to share is, if you fail in the examination, no need to worry. From the next day, start preparing once again. And whatever I said that which were your minus elements, for example, restoration era, you were not able to score well, then read it, then solve the MCQ. And if you have the few close friends who are preparing, share with them. Prepare one topic, share with them. Another would do the same. In this way, you would able to clear net or slate with in 1 or 2 years
True.
if you are
True.
consistent.
I mean, Pratiksha madam is not present, so I am operating from her account.
Okay.
And
Okay.
but yeah, 2017, same here, happened to be a crucial year for me as well, because uh, I missed that GSET for 4 marks, which would mean 2 MCQs. So
Oh,
yeah, so there's something wrong with this 2017, it seems. But then, sir, uh, Mr. Achyut is one among the people who has a good amount of question bank with him, isn't it? So,
yes.
and our participants have been requesting to provide a sort of model test, some
Hmm.
25 to 30 questions. We would be very
Hmm.
happy if you could, whenever you get time in the near future, prepare a sort of questionnaire for them for practice. This we can ask. We feel we can ask people like Dr. Chirag Adatya, who is another one who happens to have cleared NET and GSAT and has a rich question bank with him. He's already working on a question bank. So we would request to avail your services in this manner also. Whenever in a
Sure.
week's time or somewhere, you can prepare some 25-30 good questions related to your age. It will be very helpful. I think participants are agreeing with me. So
Sure.
you can prepare a Google form and circulate the link, sir. We will forward it to the participants, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Over to
Thank
you.
you, Pastor.
Yes.
Sir, I would like to ask you one question. How many times you have taken this exam, SLET and NET?
Okay. I had started giving NET examination from 2014 and GSET examination from 2016. And
Okay.
in 2016, I could not clear it by 20 marks. Otherwise, it was a great opportunity to be among the persons that are asking the questions. Like Taudipa, you, Viral Bhai, when I would be among you who had cleared the GPSC, because it was the golden opportunity. Because after the MPhil was over, I was the fresh preparing for the NET and SLET. If GSET would be cleared, then GPSC written exam would be not that much difficult at that time. So
Yeah.
that was really good one. And after from 2014, I had given the NET examination, but with the serious preparation, I had started giving from 2016 onwards. Because what happened, our friends says that give the NET examination, we would go, and if it is cleared, then cleared. In that manner, I had given the first of all exams. But after 2016, it was a really serious effort. And Baudipa, you know it, because
Yeah,
you was
actually,
the close senior who knew.
yes, yes. Actually, I have witnessed your journey beginning from the semester one to this part where you are standing right now. Actually, all of us in the department will be certainly proud of you. The way you have motivated yourself. Not taking much time, I would like to request one more time if there is any questions from anyone. We have Dr. Chirag Aratya with us. Sir, would you
May,
like to share any observations or opinions?
may I ask something, Achyut sir?
Yes, sir.
Hello, am I
Yes, sir.
audible to you?
Yes,
Am
Yes,
I
sir,
sir.
you're
audible?
audible. Yes, sir. Please
Okay.
go ahead with your question.
I just want to ask you that you were mentioning somewhere that you have gone through several history books like David Dyches, Routledge, and several others. So, like, I was also doing the same during my journey. But what I found that these history books, there are like information at very surface level, and the
Hmm.
questions, the types of questions that
Hmm.
have been asked in the exams like net and GSAT,
Hmm.
they are very different. I mean, they are
Hmm.
asking from a textbook, original textbook, and like
Hmm.
sometimes the information are not available in the history book.
Hmm.
So I mean, apart from these history books, what were the other options, or what were the other resources that you have referred? So if you can throw some light on it,
Hmm.
it can be helpful to others
Hmm.
also, and to me also.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, Pretty good questions, Chirag sir. And the same, like my journey is there, the same is the Chirag sir's journey. He has also gone through many books and he has prepared many MCQs and all this. So, apart from these resources, the internet, whenever I found any doubt and I have thought that what would be this question, I have just Google it. This is the simple one. What we do not find the answer. At that time, we find the answer in Google. So in that way also I have prepared. And apart from this, like Chirag sir, you were there among many WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups of this net and slate, where in one way or other some MCQs were came out as well as some materials. So when these materials came out, some of the questions are from that, so that we were missing. And as the net GSET we can predict, but net is unpredictable as the often the answers. It has the easy, normal, hard, and extremely difficult portion. And some of the time we find that the in the net the question being asked that what is the name of the pet dog? What is the name of the pet dog the from the play? So that kind of questions were came out. So that portion we need to avoid it, because in the net we can't prepare the wall, because there is something uncertain about the net, and that's why it is the great net examination, that it often gives us surprise with something new. So these were the resources that I had gone through, and I hope that I had given the answer to the question of your Chirag sir.
Thank you very much. It is really very helpful. I mean, you have provided very rich information, and that is helpful to all of us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, most welcome, sir.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Achyut sir, for responding to that question. There is one more question in the chat box. It's about paper one. If there is any,
Yeah, I think this can be the
yes.
last question for today, Bhavdeep bhai.
Fine, that this will be the last question.
Yeah.
Okay. What I have found that in the paper one, KVS Madan's paper one book of teaching and research aptitude, and those who have cleared the examination, I have asked them, and particularly from our department as well as from the outside the departments, those who were in my contact, I have asked who has cleared NET or JRF, that which book you have referred, and the most common answer was of KVS Madan's book for paper 1. KVS Madan, Teaching and Research Aptitude. That was the most useful. And the nowadays some other the syllabus were included, that you can find it in the Google. And as well as the Chirag sir is having the lots of new materials also, and he will be also helpful in
Yeah,
sharing
sir,
that
what I
information.
feel, if it is possible for you to maybe like click a picture of the title page or the cover page of the book, or the title of the book and the author's name, if you can forward us, you can put it in the
Yeah.
WhatsApp group or in the Google Classroom.
Okay, sure.
All the registered attendees can have this title with them.
Okay, Parsar.
Yeah,
I will
if we are
forward
not
you that.
we are not overburdening you, please.
Okay, no, no, not a problem.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Thank you, Achyut sir. I think we should end the session now. Almost 7. Thank you, formally, thank you thank you for giving sparing time for this session. Thank you, participants, especially to Chirag sir and Basa for coordinating the amazing lecture series. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Welcome, Bhavdeep sir. And the DV is also remembering the old students and faculties to you, Bhavdeep sir. So warm regard from the DV College.
Thank you very much.